A luxury car salesman laughed in an old farmer's face. "You can't afford even the steering wheel of these cars," he mocked, as other salespeople joined in the laughter. The farmer smiled quietly and walked out. 1 hour later, he returned with a briefcase. What happened next cost that salesman everything. This is the true story of how one moment of arrogance led to the single most expensive mistake in luxury car sales history, and how an old farmer taught an entire showroom a lesson they'd never forget. Before we reveal what happened, I need to know, what city are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments right now. And if you believe respect costs nothing but means everything, smash that subscribe button, because this revenge story is absolutely perfect. Let's begin. Karan Mehta leaned against the gleaming red 488 GB, scrolling through his Instagram feed and admiring the photo he just posted of himself next to a Lamborghini Huracan. At 29 years old, Karan was the top salesman at Prestige Motors, Mumbai, India's most exclusive luxury car dealership. The showroom floor displayed automotive art worth over 50 crore rupees: Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Bentleys, Rolls-Royce, McLarens, cars that most Indians would never even sit in, let alone own. Karan had cultivated a particular image over his 5 years at Prestige Motors. Designer suits that cost more than most people's monthly salary. A Rolex Submariner that he'd bought with last year's commission. Perfectly styled hair. An Instagram following of 60,000 people who admired his luxurious lifestyle. He'd learned quickly that in the luxury car business, image was everything. Rich clients wanted to buy from someone who looked successful, who understood their world, who belonged in it. His sales technique was equally cultivated. Identify the serious buyers within 30 seconds based on appearance, focus all attention on them, and politely ignore everyone else. Time wasters, people who came in just to look, who couldn't possibly afford these cars, were to be dismissed quickly. Karan had developed an almost supernatural ability to spot who had money and who was just dreaming. The real buyers were certain brands, carried themselves with particular confidence, spoke in certain ways. This Saturday afternoon was slow. Only 3 people had entered the showroom all morning, and none had been serious prospects. Karan was bored, contemplating an early lunch, when the showroom door opened and an old man walked in. Karan's practiced eye assessed him instantly, probably early 70s, wearing a simple white kurta that looked homemade, rubber chappal on his feet, a cloth shoulder bag, deeply tanned skin suggesting outdoor work, callous hands visible even from a distance. A farmer, clearly, probably from some village outside Mumbai, in the city to visit family, wandering into the showroom out of curiosity. The old man walked slowly through the showroom, his weathered face showing wonder as he looked at the cars. He stopped at the Lamborghini Aventador, priced at 6.5 crore rupees, and ran his hand gently along the hood. Karan exchanged glances with his colleague Rajiv, and both men smirked. This was going to be entertaining. "Excuse me, uncle," Karan called out, his tone dripping with condescension. "Please don't touch the cars. These are very expensive vehicles, not toys. If you want to take photos for your village friends, you can do it from a distance." The old man turned, looked at Karan calmly, and said nothing. He simply moved to the next car, a Bentley Continental GT worth 4 crore rupees. Karan walked over, his irritation growing. Didn't this old villager understand he was out of place? "Uncle, I'm serious. These cars start at 3 crore rupees. That's probably more money than you've seen in your entire life. Unless you're here to actually buy something, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. We're not a museum. This is a serious business for serious buyers." The old man looked at Karan with eyes that seemed to see right through him. "Young man, I am interested in buying. I came here to look at cars. Is that not allowed?" His Hindi was rural, his accent marking him as someone from Maharashtra's farming belt. Karan actually laughed out loud. "You? Buy a car? Which one? Uncle? The Ferrari? The Lamborghini? Do you even know what these cars cost? By now, other salespeople had noticed the interaction and were drifting over, amused by the entertainment. Rajesh chimed in. Karan, maybe Uncle wants to buy the keychain. We sell those Jew. Only 1,500 rupees. Much more in his budget. The group laughed. The old man's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Hurt, anger, or perhaps calculation. I want to speak to the manager, the old man said quietly. I have questions about purchasing a vehicle. Karan's laugh became almost cruel. The manager? Uncle, the manager only meets with real buyers. People who can actually afford these cars. Not farmers who probably rode here on a bullock cart. More laughter from the assembled salespeople. The showroom manager, Vikram Singh, had been watching from his glass office. He came out, assessed the situation quickly. Old man in village clothes, expensive cars, salespeople clearly mocking him, and made his decision. Sir, I'm sorry, but as my colleague said, these vehicles are quite expensive. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at a Maruti or Hyundai dealership. They have excellent cars at more accessible price points. The old man looked at each of them in turn. Karan, Rajesh, the other salespeople, the manager, his face unreadable. You judge me by my clothes, by my age, by how I look. You decide I cannot afford your cars without knowing anything about me. Is this how Prestige Motors treats all customers? His voice was quiet but carried unexpected dignity. Karan stepped closer, his voice lowering to what he thought was kindness but was actually deeper condescension. Uncle, look, I understand. These cars are beautiful. Everyone wants to own them. But wanting and affording are different things. A Ferrari costs 6 crore rupees. 6 crore. Do you understand how much money that is? That's not money from selling vegetables or growing rice. That's serious wealth. Now please, stop wasting our time and go back to wherever you came from. The old man reached into his cloth bag, and for a moment, Karan wondered if this was about to turn into some kind of security situation. But what emerged was simply a small notebook and a pen. The old man wrote something down, tore out a page, and handed it to Karan. This is my phone number. When you are ready to apologize and conduct business properly, call me. Until then, goodbye. He walked toward the door with the same slow, dignified pace he'd entered with. Karan looked at the paper, laughed, and crumpled it up, tossing it toward a wastebasket. Sure, Uncle. I'll call you right after I sell a Rolls-Royce to a rickshaw driver. The showroom erupted in laughter. The old man paused at the door, looked back once with an expression Karan would later replay in his nightmares, and left. Well, that was the entertainment for the day, Vikram said, heading back to his office. Good job, Karan. Can't have time wasters cluttering up the showroom. Real buyers only. Karan nodded, already forgetting the interaction, already scrolling back through his Instagram. Just another delusional person who didn't understand that luxury cars were for the elite, not for old farmers in rubber chappal. 55 minutes after the old man left, Karan was showing a genuine prospect, a young tech entrepreneur, the features of a Mercedes-AMG GT when the showroom's main phone rang. The receptionist answered, spoke briefly, then called out, Karan, call for you. Someone asking for you specifically. Karan excused himself, annoyed at the interruption during an actual sales conversation. This is Karan Mehta, he said into the phone, his voice professional. The voice on the other end was familiar, the old man from earlier, but somehow different. The rural accent was still there, but the tone had changed. There was steel in it now, and something else. Authority. Mr. Mehta, this is the old farmer you mocked and threw out of your showroom 1 hour ago. My name is Vishwanath Patil. I'm calling to inform you that I'm currently at Induswell Private Banking, 3 blocks from your showroom. I've just arranged for a bank transfer to Prestige Motors' business account. The amount is 52 crore rupees. I'm returning to your showroom in 15 minutes to complete my purchase. Please have your manager ready." Karan laughed. "Sure, uncle. 52 crore rupees. And I'm the Prime Minister of India. Listen, I don't know what kind of scam you're trying to pull, but..." The line went dead. Karan shook his head, assuming it was some elaborate prank. Probably the old man had called from a friend's phone, trying to get some kind of revenge for being asked to leave. Pathetic. But 3 minutes later, the showroom's financial director, Mrs. Gupta, came rushing out of her office, her face showing complete shock. "Vikram, Karan, someone just transferred 52 crore rupees into our business account. Wire transfer from Indus Wealth Private Banking. The reference says, vehicle purchase deposit, V. Padil. Is this real? Do we have a client named V. Padil?" The showroom went silent. Karan felt his stomach drop. 52 crore rupees. The old man's name was Vishwanath Pakil. This wasn't possible. Couldn't be possible. Some mistake at the bank? Surely. Vikram was already on the phone with Indus Wealth, confirming the transfer. His face went from skeptical to pale to absolutely panicked in the space of 30 seconds. "It's real," Vikram said, his voice barely above a whisper. 52 crore rupees, fully cleared, from the account of Mr. Vishwanath Padil. The bank is asking if we are ready to complete the vehicle purchase. He looked at Karan. "Karan, did you have a client named Vishwanath Padil today? Why wasn't I informed about a 50 crore sale?" Karan's mouth opened and closed like a fish. The old man, the farmer, his name was Vishwanath Pakil. But he can't, there's no way he was wearing chappal. The absurdity of his own statement hit him even as he said it. He judged a man's net worth by his footwear, and that man had just transferred 52 crore rupees. Rajesh, who had joined in the mockery, looked equally horrified. "Sir, we thought he was just a time waster. He looked like a village farmer. How could we have known?" Mrs. Gupta was frantically Googling the name on her computer. What came up made everyone's blood run cold. Vishwanath Patil, owner of Patil Agro Industries, one of Maharashtra's largest agricultural exporters. Estimated net worth 12,000 crore rupees. Listed in Forbes' India's richest people. Known for living simply despite his wealth. Still maintains his farm in Satara district. Known for... She paused, reading. Known for testing businesses by visiting them in simple clothes to see how they treat orderly-looking customers. The showroom erupted in chaos. Vikram was shouting orders, clean everything, make the showroom perfect, get refreshments ready. Someone find that phone number he left. Karan dove for the waste basket where he'd thrown the crumpled paper, digging through trash desperately. He found it, smoothed it out with shaking hands. He said he's coming back in 15 minutes. Karan said, his voice cracking. That was 5 minutes ago. He'll be here in 10 minutes. What do we do? Vikram's face was a mixture of rage and panic. We grovel. We apologize. We beg for forgiveness. Do you understand what you've done? You mocked one of the richest men in India. You threw him out. If he walks in here and walks right back out, we've lost 52 crore rupees and the reputation it will destroy this dealership. The entire sales team scrambled to prepare. Cars were repositioned. The floor was swept again even though it was already spotless. Refreshments were prepared. Vikram practiced his apology speech. Karan felt physically ill, replaying every word he'd said to Vishwanath Patil, every mocking laugh, every condescending gesture. He'd called the man a time waster, had suggested he go back to his village, had literally said he couldn't afford even a steering wheel. 9 minutes after the phone call, a convoy of 3 cars pulled up outside Prestige Motors. The middle vehicle was a modest Toyota Innova, flanked by the BMW 7 Series. From the Innova emerged Vishwanath Patil, still in his simple kurta and chappal, but now accompanied by 4 people in business attire, clearly assistants, lawyers, or advisors. The contrast was stark, a simply dressed old man surrounded by expensive cars and well-dressed staff. Vikram rushed to the door, his practiced smile in place, his hand extended. "Mr. Patil, welcome back to Prestige Motors. I'm Vikram Singh, the showroom manager. I cannot apologize enough for the terrible misunderstanding earlier. Please come in. We are honored by your presence and your business." Vishwanath Patil walked past the extended hand without shaking it, his eyes scanning the showroom until they landed on Karan, who was standing frozen near the Ari, his face ashen. "There is no misunderstanding, Mr. Singh," Vishwanath said clearly. "Your staff understood perfectly. They saw an old man in simple clothes and decided he was worthless. They mocked me, insulted me, and threw me out. That wasn't a misunderstanding. That was a choice. Now I'm going to make a choice." Vishwanath Patil walked slowly through the showroom, his entourage following at a respectful distance. Every salesperson who had laughed earlier now stood rigid with fear. The old farmer they dismissed had returned as one of India's wealthiest men, and the reversal was so complete, so devastating, that several people looked like they might actually be sick. "Mr. Patil," Vikram tried again, his voice desperate, "I take full responsibility for my team's behavior. It was unacceptable, completely unprofessional. I assure you it doesn't represent the values of Prestige Motors. We would be honored to serve you. The 52 crore rupees you've transferred, may I ask which vehicles you're interested in?" Vishwanath stopped at the Lamborghini Aventador he'd been touching earlier, the one Karan had warned him away from. He ran his hand along the hood again, deliberately, slowly. "This one is 6.5 crore rupees, correct?" Vikram nodded eagerly. "Yes, sir. The Aventador SVJ, top of the line, 770 horsepower, 0-200 in 2.8 seconds. An absolute masterpiece." "And that one?" Vishwanath pointed to the Ferrari 488. 6 crore, 2 lakh rupees, sir. The Ferrari 488 GB. Italian excellence. We have it in 3 colors. Vishwanath continued pointing at cars, asking prices. The Bentley Continental, the Rolls-Royce Ghost, the McLaren 720S, the Porsche 911 Turbo S, the Aston Martin DB11. Each time, Vikram eagerly provided specifications and pricing, hope building that this disaster might somehow turn into the biggest sale in the showroom's history. After circling the entire showroom, Vishwanath turned to face Vikram and the assembled staff. "I count 14 vehicles on this floor. Total value approximately 52 crore rupees, correct?" Vikram calculated quickly. "Yes, sir. Approximately that. Are you interested in multiple vehicles? We can certainly arrange a package deal, special pricing, whatever you need." Vishwanath pulled out a checkbook from his cloth bag. The sight of a checkbook in a cloth bag would have been comical an hour ago. Now it was terrifying. "I am going to buy all 14 vehicles. The entire inventory on this floor. 52 crore rupees, which I've already transferred. I'll write a check now for any additional amount if the total is higher." The showroom erupted in barely suppressed excitement. The entire inventory? 52 crore rupees in a single transaction? This would be the largest sale in the company's history. Vikram's commission alone would be enough to retire on. Karan felt a wild surge of hope. Maybe he'd still get credit for this, still get his commission, still salvage his career from this catastrophe. However, Vishwanath continued, and that single word silenced everyone instantly. "I have conditions, non-negotiable conditions. If you cannot meet them, I walk out and the 52 crore rupees gets transferred back to my account within the hour. Understood? Vikram nodded frantically. Of course, sir. Whatever you need. Name your conditions. Vishwanath looked directly at Karan. First condition, Mr. Karan Mehta is fired. Immediately. Before any paperwork is signed. He doesn't just lose his commission. He loses his job. And Mr. Sin, you will personally ensure that every luxury car dealership in Mumbai knows exactly why he was fired, so he cannot simply move to another showroom and continue treating people the way he treated me. Karan felt the floor drop out from under him. Sir, please, I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. I am truly sorry. I'll apologize publicly. I'll do anything. But please don't take my career. This is all I know. I have loans, commitments. I can't. Vishwanath held up a hand, silencing him. You can't what? You can't survive without this job? Without your income? Welcome to how 90% of Indians live, Mr. Mehta. Worried about survival. Struggling to pay bills. One disaster away from ruin. But the difference is, they didn't bring this on themselves through arrogance and cruelty. You did. So no, I don't care about your loans or your commitments. You should have thought about those before you mock someone for being poor. Vikram didn't hesitate. His mental calculation was instant. One salesman versus 52 crore rupees. Karan, you are fired. Effective immediately. Clear out your desk and leave the premises. Security will escort you out. Karan stood frozen, unable to process that his career had just ended because he judged someone by their chappal. Second condition, Vishwanath continued, turning to Rajesh and the other salespeople who joined in the mockery. Every person who laughed at me, who made fun of me, who joined Mr. Mehta in his mockery, they each write a 5-page essay about why judging people by appearance is wrong. These essays will be posted in the showroom's employee area for 1 year, and they will each donate 1 month's salary to a charity that helps rural farmers. If anyone refuses, they're also fired and I walk away. The salespeople looked at each other in horror. A full month's salary, 5-page essays, but the alternative was losing their jobs when the biggest sale in company history collapsed. One by one, they nodded agreement. Rajesh spoke for the group. We'll do it, sir. We are truly sorry. We were wrong. Completely wrong. Third condition, Vishwanath said, his voice hardening further. Mr. Sin, you are not fired, but you are demoted. You clearly created a culture where this behavior was acceptable, where your staff felt comfortable mocking customers based on appearance. That culture came from the top. So you are demoted to senior salesman. Your assistant manager will be promoted over you. Your salary will be adjusted accordingly. Accept this, or I walk. Vikram's face went through several colors. Demoted, publicly humiliated in front of his own staff. His pride screamed to refuse, to tell this old farmer to take his money and leave. But 52 crore rupees. The biggest sale ever. The commission, even reduced, would still be substantial, and refusing would mean immediate firing anyway. I accept, sir. You are absolutely right. I failed in my leadership. I accept the demotion. Final condition, Vishwanath said, pulling a document from his bag. Prestige Motors will implement a new policy, effective immediately. Drafted by my lawyers here. Every customer who enters this showroom, regardless of their appearance, will be greeted with respect and offered the same level of service. Mystery shoppers, people dressed as I was today, will visit quarterly. Any employee caught discriminating based on appearance will be immediately terminated. This policy will be posted prominently, and all employees will sign acknowledgement of it. He handed the document to Vikram, who read it quickly and nodded. Yes, sir. Absolutely. We'll implement this immediately. It should have been our policy all along. I'm ashamed that it wasn't. Vishwanath looked around the showroom one last time. Good. Then we have a deal. Let's complete the paperwork. Over the next 3 hours, Prestige Motors' legal and financial teams processed the most complex sale in the company's history. 14 luxury vehicles. Total value 52 crore, 38 lakh rupees. Vishwanath Patil's lawyers reviewed every document with meticulous attention. His financial advisors coordinated the transfer of the remaining 38 lakh rupees. And through it all, the old farmer sat calmly in Vikram's former office, now his office, drinking chai and watching the chaos his conditions had created. Karan was escorted from the building by security, his box of personal items clutched in shaking hands, his career in luxury sales over before lunchtime. Other salespeople scrambled to write their essays, each word a reminder of their casual cruelty. Vikram worked the showroom floor as a regular salesman, his former subordinates barely hiding their satisfaction at seeing him brought low. During a brief pause in the paperwork, one of Vishwanath's advisors, a sharp woman named Priya who served as his chief of staff, spoke to him quietly. Sir, you made your point. They've learned their lesson. Do you really need all 14 cars? What will you even do with a Lamborghini? Vishwanath smiled slightly. I'm not keeping them, Priya. I'm donating them. He turned to Mrs. Gupta, who was processing the financial paperwork. Please note that 12 of these vehicles will be donated to various charities. The Lamborghini and Ferrari will go to a Mumbai organization that provides transportation for medical emergencies in rural areas. The Bentley and Rolls-Royce will be auctioned, with proceeds going to agricultural education programs. The remaining vehicles will be distributed similarly, everything documented properly for tax purposes. Mrs. Gupta's pen paused above the paper. Sir, you're buying 52 crore rupees in cars just to donate them all? Why not just donate 52 crore rupees directly to these charities? Vishwanath's expression was patient, as if explaining something to a child. Because I wanted to make a point. These salespeople needed to learn that wealth doesn't announce itself, that the person they judge as poor might be richer than they'll ever be, and they'll never forget the day an old farmer in rubber chappal bought their entire inventory and gave it all away. The showroom phone had been ringing constantly for the past hour. News of the massive sale had leaked to the luxury car community, and competitors, journalists, and curious observers all wanted details. Vikram, now just a senior salesman, fielded the calls with wounded pride. Yes, we sold our entire showroom inventory. Yes, 52 crore rupees. No, I can't disclose the client's name. Yes, it's legitimate. Meanwhile, Karan sat in his car in the parking lot, unable to drive away, watching through the showroom windows as the paperwork continued. His phone buzzed with a message from his landlord. The rent for his expensive Bandra apartment was due. Another buzz. His BMW lease payment reminder. Another. His credit card bill, inflated from maintaining his luxury lifestyle. Every buzz was a reminder that his income had just dropped to zero and he had no prospects in an industry where everyone would soon know why he'd been fired. He pulled up LinkedIn on his phone and looked at his profile. Top luxury car sales professional, vertical bar, Prestige Motors, Mumbai, vertical bar, passionate about excellence. He'd have to change all of that. But to what? Recently fired for classism and arrogance? His carefully curated image was destroyed. His 60,000 Instagram followers would soon know the story. His entire identity had been built on luxury, success, and status, all of it evaporating because he judged an old man's chapel. Inside, the paperwork near completion. Vishwanath signed document after document, each signature representing millions of rupees. His lawyers ensured every condition was documented. Karan's termination, Vikram's demotion, the new customer service policy, the the donation plans for the vehicles. When the final document was signed, Vishwanath stood and shook hands with each person involved. "Mr. Sin," he said to the demoted manager, "I hope you learn from this. Leadership isn't about maintaining your status. It's about creating a culture where everyone is treated with dignity. You failed at that. Use this demotion to become someone better." Vikram nodded, shame and understanding mixing in his expression. "I will, sir. Thank you for not destroying me completely when you had every right to." To the salespeople who had mocked him, Vishwanath said, "I am not angry with you. I am disappointed. You are young. You have time to become better people. Use this experience. Remember how it felt to realize you'd misjudged someone catastrophically. Let it make you kinder." Several of them had tears in their eyes, nodding their understanding. As Vishwanath prepared to leave, Mrs. Gupta approached him hesitantly. "Sir, may I ask a question? Why do you dress so simply when you are worth thousands of crores? You could afford any clothes, any accessories. Why give people the opportunity to misjudge you?" Vishwanath smiled, the first genuine smile he'd shown since returning to the showroom. "Because I remember who I was 50 years ago. A genuine farmer with nothing but a small plot of land and big dreams. I built Paddle Agro Industries from that small farm, working 18-hour days, living simply, investing every rupee back into the business. Now I am wealthy beyond anything that young farmer could have imagined. But I never want to forget him. The simple clothes remind me where I came from. They keep me humble. They keep me real." And he continued, his expression turning more serious, "They show me who people really are. When I dress in expensive suits, everyone treats me wonderfully. They see my wealth and show me respect. But that's not real respect. That's fear or greed or opportunism. When I dress simply, I see people's true character. Do they respect me as a human being, or only as a bank account? Your former colleague Mr. Mehta showed me his true character today. He values only money and status. He's learned an expensive lesson about the consequences of that shallowness." News of the incident spread through Mumbai's luxury retail community like wildfire. By evening, every high-end showroom, boutique, and luxury service provider in the city had heard some version of the story. Old man in simple clothes enters Prestige Motors, gets mocked and thrown out, returns as billionaire, buys entire inventory for 52 crores, fires the salesman who insulted him, donates all the cars to charity. The details varied, but the core message was consistent. Never judge a customer by their appearance. Within 24 hours, multiple other luxury businesses reported similar incidents. Vishwanath Paru visiting their establishments in simple clothes, being either treated well or poorly, and the consequences following accordingly. A high-end watch boutique in Colaba that had treated him respectfully received a 50 rupee order for timepieces to be given as employee bonuses at his company. A luxury hotel that had refused him entry to their restaurant got a scathing review that went viral, costing them bookings. Vishwanath's Simple Clothes Test had become Mumbai's most feared mystery shopping program. Karan's fall became a cautionary tale. His story appeared in business blogs, customer service training materials, and LinkedIn posts about the importance of treating everyone with respect. His carefully curated Instagram became a source of mockery. Images of him posing with luxury cars he'd no longer sell. Posts about his successful lifestyle that was now destroyed. His follower count actually increased, but only because people were watching his downfall with morbid fascination. He applied to 15 different car dealerships over the next month. All rejected him. Vishwanath had been true to his word. Every luxury showroom in Mumbai knew exactly why Karan had been fired. Some potential employers were sympathetic but afraid. Hiring him might anger Vishwanath or other wealthy clients who would heard the story. Others were judgmental. If he'd treat a customer that way, how would he treat colleagues? One brutally honest hiring manager told him, "You are toxic, Karan. You represent everything wrong with luxury sales. No one will touch you. Desperate, Karan took a job at a regular car dealership in Thane, selling mid-range Hyundais and Hondas for a fraction of his previous salary. His first day, a customer walked in wearing a worn t-shirt and jeans, and Karan's instinct was to dismiss him as unlikely to buy. Then he remembered the old farmer in Chappal who had destroyed his career. He greeted the casually dressed customer with genuine respect, gave him full attention, and ended up selling him a car. The lesson had been learned, but at catastrophic cost. Meanwhile, Prestige Motors underwent transformation. Vikram, working as a senior salesman under his former assistant, slowly rebuilt his reputation through humility and better customer service. The essays from the salespeople who had mocked Vishwanath were indeed posted in the employee area, serving as daily reminders of what not to do. The new customer service policy was enforced religiously. Every customer, regardless of appearance, received respectful treatment. 3 months after the incident, an elderly woman in a sari and simple jewelry walked into Prestige Motors. The sales staff immediately recognized the test, another of Vishwanath's mystery shoppers, almost certainly. They treated her with perfect courtesy, offered refreshments, answered all her questions patiently. She thanked them and left. The next day, she returned in a chauffeur-run Mercedes, revealed herself as the CEO of a pharmaceutical company, and purchased vehicles for her executives. Word got back to Vishwanath that his lesson had stuck. Vishwanath himself continued his simple lifestyle, running his multi-thousand-crore agricultural business from his farm in Satara district. The 14 luxury cars he'd purchased were distributed as promised. The Lamborghini and Ferrari to the Medical Emergency Organization made headlines, with photos of supercars being used to rush critical patients to hospitals going viral. The irony of luxury vehicles saving lives in rural areas wasn't lost on anyone. 6 months after the incident, Vishwanath received a letter. It was from Karan, handwritten, 5 pages long. The letter was an apology, but more than that, it was a reflection. Karan wrote about his fall from luxury sales to selling budget cars, about the humiliation and financial struggle, about slowly learning to see people as humans rather than as potential commissions or status markers. Mr. Patil, the letter read, I cannot undo what I did. I cannot take back the words I said or the way I treated you. But I want you to know that I've learned the lesson you taught me. Every day, I work with customers who drive old cars, who struggle to afford even basic models, who save for years to buy their first vehicle. And I treat every single one of them with the respect I should have shown you. Not because I fear another test, but because I finally understood that every person deserves dignity regardless of their wealth. Thank you for destroying my career. I needed to be destroyed to be rebuilt as someone better. Vishwanath read the letter twice, then called his chief of staff. Priya, there's a car salesman in Thane named Karan Mehta. He used to work for Prestige Motors. Look into his current situation and performance. If he's genuinely changed, as this letter suggests, perhaps we can offer him a position in our company's fleet management division. Good salary. Opportunity to rebuild his career, but in an environment where character matters more than image. Priya looked surprised. Sir, this is the man who insulted you, who threw you out of a showroom. Why would you help him? Vishwanath smiled. Because the point of punishment isn't to destroy people permanently. It's to teach them. If he's learned the lesson, genuinely learned it, then he deserves a second chance. Everyone deserves a chance to become better than they were. That's what I believe, anyway. 1 year after the Prestige Motors incident, Vishwanath Patil was invited to speak at a luxury retail conference in Mumbai. The organizers wanted him to discuss customer experience in high-end markets. Vishwanath accepted, but not to talk about luxury. He came to talk about humanity. The conference hall was packed with managers and executives from Mumbai's most exclusive establishments, luxury car dealerships, designer boutiques, five-star hotels, premium real estate agencies. Everyone knew why they were really there, to hear from the man whose simple clothes test had become legendary, whose 52 crore purchase had changed the entire industry's approach to customer service. Vishwanath walked onto the stage in his signature style. Simple white kurta pajama, rubber chappal, a cloth bag over his shoulder. The contrast with the audience's designer suits and dresses was stark and deliberate. "Thank you for inviting me," he began. "I'm going to tell you a story about chappal and eraris, about assumptions and reality, about the cost of judging people by their appearance." He recounted the entire Prestige Motors incident in detail, walking into the showroom, being mocked, being thrown out, the 52 crore purchase, the conditions, the aftermath. The audience sat in rapt silence, many recognizing themselves in the description of the salespeople who had judged him so harshly. Now, many of you are probably thinking, that was an isolated incident, one bad sales team. Your businesses would never treat customers that way. But let me ask you this. In the past year, how many simply dressed people have walked into your establishments? How many were given the same level of service as wealthy-looking customers? How many were quietly discouraged or politely redirected elsewhere? Be honest with yourselves. The silence in the room was uncomfortable. Vishwanath continued. "I visited 47 luxury establishments in Mumbai over the past year, dressed as I am now. 22 treated me poorly or refused me service entirely. That's nearly 50%. Half of Mumbai's luxury businesses are still judging customers by appearance and losing potential sales because of it. More importantly, they're losing their humanity." He pulled out a folder. "I've documented every visit. The watch boutique that had security escort me out because I looked suspicious. The luxury hotel that told me their restaurant was fully booked when it was clearly half empty. The real estate agency that said they had no properties available when I could see listings on their wall. The car showroom, not Prestige, a different one, that laughed when I asked about their most expensive vehicle. But I've also documented the businesses that treated me well. The luxury furniture store where the salesperson spent 2 hours showing me pieces, brought me tea, never once judged my appearance. I bought 8 lakh rupees in furniture. The boutique hotel that welcomed me warmly despite my simple clothes and gave me their best room. I've since booked it for corporate events worth 25 lakh rupees. The jewelry store that showed me their entire collection with patience and respect. I purchased a 2 crore necklace for my wife's anniversary. The pattern is clear, Vishwanath said, his voice strong. Businesses that judge by appearance lose sales. Businesses that treat everyone with dignity gain loyal customers who spend more, return more often, and refer others. It's not just morally right, it's financially smart. Every person you dismiss might be your biggest sale. Every person you judge might be your best customer. You literally cannot afford to make assumptions. He paused, his expression softening. But this isn't really about sales, is it? It's about something deeper. It's about whether we see other humans as humans, or whether we see them as objects to be categorized and valued based on superficial markers. When that salesman at Prestige Motors looked at me, he didn't see a person. He saw clothes, age, skin tone, markers that told him I was worthless to him. And that dehumanization, that casual cruelty, that's the real problem. I'm wearing simple clothes today not as a test, but as a statement. I'm worth 12,000 crore rupees. I could wear the most expensive clothes in this room, but I choose not to because I refuse to participate in a system that values people based on their wealth. My father was a poor farmer who couldn't read. Was he worth less than me? My mother worked fields her entire life and never owned jewelry. Was she worth less than the women in this room wearing diamond necklaces? Of course not. Their worth was in their character, their work, their love. The same is true for everyone. The audience was silent, many visibly moved. Vishwanath concluded, "I am going to continue my simple clothes visits, not to punish anyone, but to remind this industry that every person deserves respect. Some of you will fail the test, as Prestige Motors initially did. Some will pass, but all of you now know the stakes. The question is, will you change because you fear losing a sale to a secret billionaire? Or will you change because you've understood that every human being deserves dignity regardless of their bank balance? The first motivation is pragmatic. The second is moral. I hope you choose the second." He left the stage to standing applause. Over the next months, Mumbai's luxury retail industry underwent quite transformation. Not because businesses feared Vishwanath's tests, though some did, but because his message had resonated. Customer service training programs were revised. Dress codes for customers were eliminated. Policies about who deserved attention and who didn't were abolished. Not everywhere, not perfectly, but progress was made. Karan Mehta, now working in Vishwanath's fleet management division, heard about the conference speech secondhand. He'd been with Patil Agro Industries for 6 months, managing the company's vehicles with dedication and humility. His salary was good, his work was meaningful, and slowly he was rebuilding his reputation and his character. He'd never regained the luxury lifestyle he'd once had, but he'd gained something more valuable: self-respect untethered from status symbols. One afternoon, Vishwanath visited the fleet management office. It was his first direct interaction with Karan since hiring him. Karan stood nervously as his former victim approached. "Mr. Mehta," Vishwanath said, "I've been reviewing your work. Your supervisor says you are excellent, responsible, respectful, humble. A complete transformation from who you were at Prestige Motors. Is it real, or are you just being careful because you know who employs you?" Karan thought about the question seriously. "Sir, I think it started as fear. Fear of losing another job. But over time, it became real. I've learned to see people as people, not as opportunities or obstacles. The man I was at Prestige Motors, I'm ashamed of him. I can't become him again because I can't unsee what I've learned. You gave me the hardest gift I've ever received, the destruction of my arrogance and the chance to build something better from the ruins." Vishwanath nodded, satisfied. "Good. Keep growing. Keep learning. And remember, the clothes don't make the person. The character does. I wear simple clothes to remember that. You wore expensive suits to forget it. Now you wear regular clothes because you finally understood it.